The day my daughter sold my house, she didn't even look me in the eyes. I remember that clearly because I was sitting in my old armchair, the one with the torn leather armrest, while she stood near the door, keys in her hand, speaking as if she were reading grocery items off a list. Her voice was calm, almost practiced. "Abu, we've decided it's best if you move to a shelter. You can't manage on your own anymore." I was 72 years old, my hearing a little weak, my knees slower than they used to be, but my mind was sharp enough to understand every word. Still, I asked her to repeat it, not because I hadn't heard her, but because I needed to believe I was wrong. She sighed. "The house is being sold. The papers are done." That house wasn't just brick and cement. It was the place where I carried her in my arms the first time she learned to walk, where her mother and I argued about curtains, laughed over burnt rotis, and cried quietly when money was tight. I paid every installment with overtime shifts and skipped meals. After her mother passed away, that house became my last companion. And now, my own daughter was sending me to a shelter. 2 hours later, I was sitting in a van with a small bag of clothes, watching strangers carry my furniture out like it meant nothing. My daughter didn't come with me. She said she had urgent work. Her husband nodded politely, like you do to a delivery man. The shelter smelled of disinfectant and loneliness. Metal beds lined the walls. Old men stared at the ceiling, some murmuring names no one answered anymore. I sat on the edge of the bed and felt something break inside me, not loudly, just a quiet crack. That night I didn't sleep. I kept asking myself the same question: where did I fail as a father? Days passed, no calls, no visits. I told myself she was busy. I told myself she'd come once things settled, but deep down I knew the truth. I had become an inconvenience, a problem solved. What my daughter didn't know, what no one knew, was that the house was never truly the only thing I owned. Years ago, after my wife died, a lawyer friend insisted I organize my affairs. "Just in case," he said. I had quietly invested the money from a small piece of ancestral land I sold. I never told my daughter, not because I didn't trust her, but because I believed children should never wait for their parents to die to feel secure. I also made a will. In that will, I wrote one simple condition: anyone who takes my home from me while I am alive forfeits any right to what comes after. At the shelter, I volunteered in the small library. I helped others write letters to families who never replied. I shared tea, stories, silence. Slowly, I found dignity again, not because life was kind, but because I refused to disappear. 3 months later, I got a call. "Abu," my daughter's voice sounded unsure, softer than before. "We need to talk." She arrived the next day, dressed well, confidence slightly cracked. She told me the house sale money was already allocated. Investments didn't work out. Debts appeared. Her husband was stressed. Then she smiled nervously and said, "You'll come live with us now, right?" I looked at her and felt no anger, just clarity. "I won't," I said quietly. Her face changed. "What do you mean, you're my father?" "Yes," I replied, "and I was your shelter once too." She frowned. "Abu, don't be dramatic." I asked her to sit. I told her about the will, about the investments, about the condition she had unknowingly broken. I watched her expression shift from confusion to disbelief to panic. "You can't do this," she whispered. "I already did," I said. A week later, my lawyer called her. Everything was legal. Everything was final. I didn't take revenge. I donated a portion of what I had to help expand the shelter. I moved into a small, peaceful apartment nearby. I paid for my own care, my own peace. My daughter didn't speak to me for a long time. One evening, months later, she came again. No expensive clothes, no confidence. Just my little girl, eyes full of regret. "I didn't think you survive without us," she said. I smiled sadly. I didn't think I'd need to. She cried that day, not because of money, but because she finally understood what she had sold.